Pick a side right now, push, pull legs, or upper, lower. One of them usually loses the thing that actually builds muscle in real life, completed training. By the end, you'll know which split wins once missed workouts count. We'll score them on 4 axes, and the last one is the one that flips the verdict. This is not about which split looks best on paper. It's about which one survives your actual week. By the end, you'll know which split to pick based on how many sessions you can actually complete for the next 8 weeks. First, what each split is really buying you. Then, where missed sessions change the score. Then, who should actually choose which. That rule is the 8-week test. Push-pull legs look smarter for an obvious reason. It spreads your work across more days. Upper-lower looks simpler for an equally obvious reason, and asks less from your week. And to be fair, PPL does win something real here. More training slots usually means shorter sessions. You can spread sets out better. You can keep each workout feeling a bit fresher instead of stuffing everything into one long session. Spreading the same work across more sessions can feel easier per workout, mainly because each session carries less fatigue. That matters. Shorter, cleaner sessions are easier to push hard in. And if you really can train 6 days, PPL gives you more room to add work without each workout turning into a small part-time job. So, point goes to PPL on pure paper upside. If you can truly run 6 days, it gives you more room to do more work well. But plenty of people build their whole plan around a version of life that does not exist. So here is the real question. Which one would you actually complete for 8 weeks with your real schedule, 4 or 6? Now score the splits the way real people live, not by planned sessions, by completed ones. This is where the fight changes. Higher session plans are more fragile. In PPL, a missed day often means an entire body region just gets less work that week. Miss pull day, and your back work is gone. Miss legs, and your legs wait. Trying to cram it in later usually wrecks the rest of the rotation. A 6-day schedule falls apart fast when you miss 2 sessions. That is the problem. The extra days that made PPL look better are also the exact days most people skip first. Week 1 looks tidy. Week 4 looks like a rescue mission. Upper-lower handles this better. If your week gets messy, the split usually stays intact enough to keep moving. Over 12 weeks, upper-lower users stuck to the plan better, so they finished more training. That is the round. Point goes to upper-lower for resilience. If your week is even a little messy, it keeps more of your training intact. This is where so-called optimal lifters turn into people who keep restarting plans and they never actually finish. And muscle does not care what you meant to do. It responds to what you repeated. Send this to the friend who keeps picking 6-day plans and then spending Friday trying to catch up. Now for the round that upsets a lot of people. Frequency. A lot of people defend PPL with this idea that hitting a muscle more often automatically builds more muscle. It sounds right. It also gets oversold. For trained lifters, the big threshold is usually simple. Hit a muscle about twice a week. Upper-lower already does that when you complete it.
Your chest, back, legs, shoulders, they all get their second shot without needing 6 gym visits. There is a good reason for that. Your muscles stay in build mode for a pretty short window after training, roughly a day and a half to 2 days. So being stuck at once a week is not great. Twice a week is the important line. That is why this round matters so much more once you're past the beginner stage. When total volume is matched, training more often adds little. The real bump shows up when frequency lets you complete more volume. That means PPL's third touch is not magic by itself. It only helps when it lets you do more real work. If your missed PPL days knock a muscle back toward once a week, the frequency argument actually flips against PPL. So, point goes to upper-lower for most lifters. It reliably hits the proven twice-weekly target with fewer required appearances. If this just cleaned up the difference between planned volume and completed volume, that's the whole point. Now the last round. This is the one that decides it. Progress compounds on finished blocks. 4 solid sessions, week after week, usually beats 6 planned sessions that keep turning into 4, then 3, then a full reset because the week got away from you. An intact 8-week run beats a stop-start plan, even if the stop-start one looks more optimal on good weeks. Most people compare best-case PPL to average-case upper-lower. That is the wrong fight. The real comparison is your likely 8-week average on both. That is the 8-week test. Do not ask which split is optimal in theory. Ask which one you can actually complete for 8 straight weeks without life blowing it up. And that gives us the verdict. Point goes to upper-lower overall. If 6 consistent days is not realistic for the next 8 weeks, upper-lower is the better muscle-building choice. PPL only wins when your 6-day adherence is genuinely stable. Quick scorecard. Paper upside goes to PPL because it spreads work well and gives you more room for volume. Missed session penalty goes to upper-lower because it is more resilient when life gets in the way. Frequency threshold goes to upper-lower because it already hits the twice-weekly target with fewer required gym visits. 8-week scorecard goes to upper-lower because finished blocks beat paper-perfect plans. So, for most people, default to upper-lower. Run 4 completed sessions, progress them by adding reps, load, or a little more work over time. That is boring advice, which is annoying because boring advice works. There is one group where PPL is absolutely the right pick. If you're more advanced, recover well, and 6 days stays realistic without constant misses, PPL's extra room becomes real. More slots can mean more volume, more specialization, better distribution for body parts you really want to bring up. In that lane, PPL is not fake. It is just narrower than people pretend. If you want more of these plain verdicts on fitness arguments that usually get buried under theory, consider subscribing. Use the 8-week test. Pick the split you can actually complete, not the one that only wins in a perfect week. For most lifters, that means upper-lower first, and PPL only when 6 days is truly real.